From Kern Government Television, welcome to this week's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting, originating from the County Administrative Center located at 1115 Truxtun Avenue, Bakersfield, California. Kern County's vision is to create and maintain a customer-centered county government designed to garner the confidence, support, and trust of the people we serve. Today's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting will convene momentarily.
Good morning. Welcome to the special meeting of the Board of Supervisors. Today is Tuesday, October 29th, 2019. Board to reconvene. The first item is roll call.
Supervisor Gleason.
Here.
Supervisor Scribner.
Here.
Supervisor Maggard.
Here.
Supervisor Couch.
Here.
Supervisor Perez.
Here.
Next item is the flag salute. It'll be led this morning by Supervisor Zach Scribner. And at the conclusion of that, please remain standing for a moment of prayer, silence, or meditation, whichever you prefer. Thank you. Thank you. Even though this is a special meeting and we don't have a consent agenda, we do have the pet of the week. We didn't want to forget that. So I'm going to invite Nick out. This is a dog that is in honor of the 1st District, I think.
Good morning. Nick Cullen, your Director for Kern County Animal Services. Our District 1, representing District 1 is Pilot this morning. His alias...
Maverick.
His alias is Maverick.
Oh, yeah.
He is
And that's Goose holding him, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Goose the Maverick. As you can see...
Goose didn't do well in that movie, as I recall.
No, he did not. As you can see, Maverick, a.k.a. Pilot, is a Chihuahua. He's about 8 pounds. He's not leash trained just yet, so he's going to take some TLC for somebody. But he loves being held. And he's full grown. He's about 2 years old. He's available Thursday morning for adoption for just $85 from the Kern County Animal Shelter. And he's this week's Pet of the Week for the Board of Supervisors.
So we encouraged you to name one after us. You just couldn't quite go that far, but you went.
It's as close as we can come.
For the hobby, okay. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate it very much. Give me that tie back, Pilot.
I got you now.
Thank you. Okay, that takes us to item 1, which is a department request under the County Administrative Office. It's a proposed resolution declaring a homeless shelter crisis in Kern County pursuant to Government Code Section 8698. A proposed resolution dispensing with bid requirements and establishing an emergency project to expedite the repairs to and replacement of existing county facilities, and the construction of a low-barrier navigation center on county-owned property located at 2731, 2735 O Street in Bakersfield. Do I need to read all of that for the record?
No.
Is that adequate?
Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Alsop.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Good morning. Before you this morning, to request that your board approve and adopt 2 proposed resolutions to facilitate Kern County's ongoing efforts to address the steadily growing population of individuals experiencing homelessness in Kern County. The first proposed resolution declares a homeless shelter crisis pursuant to Government Code Section 8698 to enable the county to utilize the applicable provisions of Government Code Section 8698.1 to facilitate the creation and operations of a low-barrier navigation center and day services and other related actions to provide shelter and services to Kern County's homeless population. The second proposed resolution dispenses with bidding requirements and establishes an emergency project to repair and replace existing county facilities and to procure the necessary equipment, services, and supplies required to construct and operate the facilities related to the Low Barrier Navigation Center facility. The need for this project was brought before your board by my office on September 10th of this year. At that meeting, your board approved the construction and operation of a low-barrier navigation center on this specified site, subject to final construction costs and development of an operational and funding plan, of course, which is what we're here to talk to you about this morning. As part of this morning's agenda item, Ms. Ruiz with my office will provide your board with that plan and an overview of both one-time and ongoing funding requirements. As you're aware, we've been working with the Bakersfield City Manager and his team on how best to coordinate approaches on this issue. This low-barrier navigation center you've approved for this county-owned property north of Golden State Highway will be ultimately one of two facilities are developed. These facilities working collaboratively with one another. Once the city selects a site and works to finalize an operational plan, my office has communicated to the city manager that we will work to the best of our abilities to ensure their success at getting that up and running. Lastly, this is quite an endeavor that frankly I'd rather not be doing, and focusing resources and energy on other things. But we've had quite a big county team working on this. It's been a lot of work, and so I just want to thank all of our department heads that many of whom are sitting in the audience, certainly Lorelei and Jeff Hill, our planning department, our general services department, who got that site, this site, cleaned out right away and squared away. And I want to thank Nancy Anderson and Elsa Martinez in my office, Jason Wiebe, and certainly, this whole plan and all of this has been really spearheaded by Amanda Ruiz sitting next to me, who will be presenting. And so I just want to make you aware of that we're proud of her and thank her for all of her efforts. And then lastly, all of the service providers and everybody that are in the audience, thank you for all of your input and support and collaboration in ensuring successful outcomes on this issue. Appreciate it very much. With that, Ms. Ruiz.
Good morning.
Morning.
So as Ryan said, this has been a lot of work, but definitely want to thank General Services and our departments. These are our experts in homeless services and our local homeless providers who have met with me weekly or as needed to really define the services that are required in a navigation center. So I just want to thank them. This has been a constant process. So a low barrier navigation center, so there's, I think, confusion on what that is. So what definition we're using is what has been defined in AB 101, which was signed by Governor Newsom on July 31st. It's defined as a housing first, low barrier, service enriched shelter focused on moving people into permanent housing that provides temporary living facilities while case managers connect individuals experiencing homelessness to income, public benefits, health services, shelter, and housing. So the main components is providing a low barrier environment, and three of those are the 3 Ps: for partners, pets, and possessions. These are barriers that keep our homeless on the streets and keep them from coming into shelter. So this will allow partners to stay on site, so it allows adult men and women, although they're sleeping in separate quarters, they're able to come on site and sleep, so they won't have to separate or go to separate facilities. Pets are allowed, so we'll have a separate animal area where there'll be kennels. And other times, the owners will be able to have their pets either in the kennel or on a leash, and we'll include pet vaccinations. Possessions, so if you see in this image to the right, you'll see this is an image of a storage facility in Los Angeles. They use trash bins, so residential trash bins to store. This is one of the most sanitary methods that we've seen. We've heard a lot of difficulties with lockers. And in addition to that, we'll have plastic totes, and those are things for items that probably need to be accessed a little bit more that can be stored underneath their bed.
Can I ask you to pause right there? Supervisor Perez has a question.
Sure. Thank you. How do you define unsanitary items?
That'll be just looking through if there's something that maybe has potential to have bed bugs or is probably beyond its use. I mean, I think that will be something we'll evaluate as people come in. And so one of the things is we're not going to allow weapons, drug paraphernalia, and unsanitary items. So that will be done through like a general search. Any possessions beyond what we're providing, that will have to either be donated or disposed of.
Thank you. Thanks, Chairman.
Thank you.
Thanks. And so this is just a quick snapshot of 2 shelters that we visited, which are 40 Prado in San Luis, Merced homeless shelter, and the Alpha Bridge shelter. We had a phone discussion about their shelter and challenges they've had. Their operators in San Diego is the Alpha House. In both San Luis and Merced, their Community Action Partnership Agency is their operator. Their bed capacity for San Diego is 324. They allow pets, which tends to be about 20 to 30 pets. They have 6 to 8 guards and cameras. They allow possessions to be stored either in totes or in the trash cans as described before. And then they allow partners to sleep in a co-ed living space. In San Luis, they have 150 beds. They have pets. Those pets are in an outdoor kennel, which is different from what San Diego does. In San Diego, they allow pets to either sleep in a kennel bedside or actually in the bed with the resident. They have cameras only. They do not have any security guards. Possessions are stored either in totes under their bed or in lockers. And partners are in separate sleeping quarters. In Merced, they do not have pets at this time. They are looking to implement that shortly. They have cameras only, no security guards. They allow garbage cans and then just some totes at their bedside. And they allow co-ed sleeping arrangements. So here is our site. It's evolved over the past few weeks. What we focused on is providing access from both sides of the east and west access. So you'll see the main entrance in the top left corner is coming from Main Street, or M Street, excuse me. That is our main entrance, which is north of our fire prevention building. And there's parking that will be renovated. And it leads into our administrative services building. This is one of 2 tension fabric structures that will be installed on site. And those structures, which I'll show you shortly, are able to, I think the life of them is about 20 to 30 years if needed, and they can be moved. And then there is a second entrance from O Street that goes through a proposed overnight parking where there will be lighting in that parking area and separate portable restrooms for anyone who wants to park and that is living in their vehicle. And so if you come from O Street, sure.
Supervisor Perez.
Thank you, Chairman. I see adult men and women. What about children? Are we not as worried at this stage about children? Excuse me.
At this point, we would not be including children. I think there's additional, there would be additional barriers and background checks that we'd have to do with children. Our hope is to alleviate our current service providers that are accepting children and maybe alleviate the flow of adult men and women and have them come into our facility and then allow more children to go into their area.
Thank you.
So if you see to the north, that leads into a designated smoking area. But you'll see both access points from M and O Street feed into one intake, one entrance area into the admin services building. A little bit to the north of that building, you'll see the personal storage building. That is an existing warehouse structure and is where those trash bins that were mentioned will be stored. South of that is another existing metal warehouse that is an enclosed area that can house the animal kennels, and it also provides protection from when those summer months and as it gets colder here in the next few months. directly adjacent to that building includes a fenced-in dog run. And then we'll have a shower, C-train, and picnic tables in between that. And then south of that, you'll see portable restrooms. And then the main structure is the housing structure, which has a capacity for 150 beds separated between men and women. And there's included greenery so that, and then we'll go into the admin services building where you'll see all the service space and a congregation area. Yes, oh, sorry. And then there is lighting included around the perimeter, cameras, and then the entire property is fenced in. So when we're talking about a tension fabric structure, this is what, this is an image of what that could potentially look like. We're looking at an initial rollout of 50 beds, so we can have an implementation period and then adjust as needed to the flow that is coming into the shelter. This is just an example of what the beds could look like, just single layer beds with some kind of partition in between. And this will accommodate men and women. What's different from here is we won't have the lockers that is included in this image. And so this is a proposed layout of what that admin services building could look like. You'll see on the top left corner, that is the entrance into the intake desk area. Directly next to that is an exam room for the medical provider, a staff break room. You'll see a manager's office for the operator manager, operator staff area. There's shared office space for our service providers that are coming in on designated days. There's a program space area. And then there's 3, potentially 4 interview rooms that will be included to provide some one-on-one consultation. If you see that operator staff area along that wall, those are all windows that provide full visibility into the dining/congregation area. In addition to that, you'll see staff restrooms to the north, a pantry kitchen, which is essentially just a warming kitchen for transportation of meals in the serving window, and then a laundry services area. And then you'll see one exit, a set of doors to the east that exit out into that the area where the restrooms and showers are, and the dining table, or excuse me, the picnic table area. The south exit and entrance leads to the housing structure. So this is what we envision as the process flow and how people will enter into the shelter and its services. So the 3 main intake points, one being outreach services, which we are hoping to partner with Flood in doing that. Currently, Flood Ministries is providing outreach countywide, but quite frankly, they don't have a place to refer our homeless to, and so we hope to be that resource for them. In addition, law enforcement, if they're responding to a call where it is a homeless individual, they're able to refer them to this site as well. And then general walk-ins, we do know that there is a lot of pedestrians or a lot of homeless that are walking around this area, so they'll be able to come in. And the way that we have structured the entrances, it limits any access along Golden State Avenue. And then they'll go into a general intake where they'll receive various assessments either by operator staff or human services, and they'll be referred to the appropriate services, whether that is behavioral health, a medical examination, additional human services providers, job readiness. Following addressing those basic services, they will continue on to housing navigation. If you're on the pathway to behavioral health, they have specific housing navigation services that they offer. Other than that, we have family reunification, rental assistance, and some permanent supporting housing vouchers that we can use either through human services or we can partner with the Housing Authority. So these are our major components for shelter and day use clients. We'll have an operations staff. They'll provide general supervision of the shelter. They'll provide general maintenance to the site. They will perform the intake processes, and then they will administer some case management. The meals will be 2 to 3 daily, depending on the numbers we're seeing. Sometimes that varies depending on the time of day and how many people are there. Showers will, at this time, have 5 units with 1 ADA compliant shower stall. And restrooms, we're either looking at portable toilets or a restroom trailer. I think right now we're looking at the capability of the site at this point. We'll have on-site laundry services so that they're able to wash their clothes. Pets will have food. They'll have donated supplies. We've gotten a commitment from Marley's Mutts to provide blankets, leashes, and then we will be administering vaccinations because that is another barrier if they cannot bring their pet in. Obviously for sanitary purposes, we have to make sure that our animals are healthy in the shelter. Property, we've discussed the 2 plastic totes if they're staying in the shelter. And then everyone will be issued a 60-gallon trash bin. Partners can stay on site in separate quarters. Other amenities to entice them to stay during the day are charging stations, television, and then just a recreation area. Security we're including 2 guards 24/7 on site and surveying the perimeter. They'll have security cameras throughout, and the entire perimeter is fenced in. So going further into security, we have 1 entrance into facility with 2 access points. We'll have camera surveillance of the entire property and surrounding area. We'll have new lighting and fencing around the perimeter. We'll provide de-escalation training for all staff, and that is something that's proven effective at 40 Prado at San Luis Obispo shelter. We'll have a security staff of 2, more if needed, 1 surveying inside the perimeter and a 2nd surveying outside the perimeter to discourage loitering. We'll implement a good neighbor policy. This just develops neighborhood relations, allows the neighborhood around to address any specific concerns. It also gives them a number to call if there are any incidents and makes the shelter accountable. We'll implement a neighborhood cleanup program. This is to incentivize our clients to clean and maintain the facility that they're living in the surrounding area. Our service providers, so we will have Kern Behavioral Health will be partnering with us to provide behavioral health care, substance use. One benefit is a sobering station is coming online shortly on Kentucky Street, which is in close proximity. So that will be another resource that we will have, so they're able to go there first and then come to our shelter. They'll be doing that general assessment for any behavioral health services and then referring out for any of their services that go beyond our shelter. There is transportation included for that. Kern Medical, they've contributed $1 million of capital funds using their whole person care housing funds. This is for this specific purpose. They're under whole person care. They're also allowing their shower C-trains, which they call care pods, to be on site. The potential to purchase a second one is a possibility. They will be administering medical care. Whole person care is a program that specifically focuses on the recently incarcerated and homeless. So I think the rate is about 95% of those will qualify under this program. Any services beyond this, under this scope, Kern Medical does provide transportation. Their whole person care clinic is located on Q Street, which is also in close proximity to our shelter site. In addition, they provide job readiness services, which provides a warm handoff to our employers' training resource to acquire job training. And they also provide a warm handoff to housing navigation and works hand in hand with our housing authority. We've been working with the Community Action Partnership. They are a coordinated entry system provider for our homeless collaborative. So any homeless person if they're registered in the site, it provides a risk-based assessment and then connects them to housing under the system. It is a requirement for state and federal funding, and we're looking at having staff on site to provide this resource to connect them closer to housing. In addition, they provide advice on meal distribution. They have their Head Start program, so they've been very valuable in providing insight on what it takes to provide meals. So we've been working with Human Services. They would do a general assessment at intake to assess whether our residents require general assistance and other benefits. They also provide general linkage to whole person care by reviewing Medi-Cal eligibility and then provide that warm handout to Kern Medical as well. We've been working with Marley's Mutts and our animal services on providing pet services, whether that's food, vaccinations, and then hopefully eventually spay and neuter services. Veteran services, our veteran services director has been critical in looking at the shelter site and any changes that we've made both as a neighbor and as a service provider. They have committed to providing linkage to benefits and employment on an as-needed basis. The Housing Authority, they will provide housing navigation, and that also links into the services that Kern Medical provides. Employers Training Resource will provide, once they are job ready, they will provide that job training and assist with their employment programs. So we wanted to address the subpopulations. There are several subpopulations that exist within homelessness that we would have to address. One of those being the youth, and when we're talking about youth, that is 18 to 24 years old. We chatted with the Dream Center. They are ready to partner with us and also gave us the figure that approximately 50% of our youth that are aging out of the foster care system are becoming homeless. So they will provide that linkage so we can be that housing for them, but they can still provide their services that are geared towards our youth. Veteran services, I think that was duplicated. And then domestic violence, we're looking on partnering with our district attorney and the services that are provided at our Family Justice Center and how we can link and house our residents that are experiencing domestic violence. And seniors, aging and adult has numerous resources. They just were awarded a Home Safe grant that works to house our homeless seniors. And as they are on a fixed income and our housing prices continue to increase, this can continue to be an issue. So we're happy that they are partnering with us on this to explore conservatorships or additional adult protection services. And then volunteers, we are partnering with CityServe to develop a volunteer program that will help on site with various operations and build that up. And then, so other notable programs that we're working on is to create an ID system that's for anyone that is walking through the doors so that we're able to, for one, so that they can access services, but also to provide data tracking for all of our service providers and really take a look at the numbers we're seeing and the flow. One program that was adopted in San Diego is our passport program. So with each connection to service, our clients would receive essentially stamps towards a specific incentive. So that could be new clothes, it could be a backpack. So that is to provide incentive to actually access services. So they're moving towards something positive. And then assists them in obtaining various documents, whether that's an ID or a driver's license, birth certificates, social security cards. These are things we need for any type of job that we're getting, and our homeless don't have that. So when we look at funding, so these are one-time capital costs. So we have the contribution from whole person care housing funds through the generosity of Kern Medical. That is about $1.1 million. Your board also approved the designation set aside of $2 million. We are proposing to use close to 1.9 million of that, for a total of $3 million. And majority of this is for those tension fabric structures, the two, and then additional will be for security installation and then general repair of the current existing buildings. Operational funding, so the county is receiving additional funds from SB2, the Permanent Local Housing Allocation. This comes from a real estate document fee and is an ongoing dedicated funding source. Our initial allocation is 1.7 million. So these would only be the ongoing costs. We're anticipating a $1.3 million budget for that. So our next step, if with your board's approval, we would continue on to finalize our site plan design and find the appropriate vendor for the tension fabric structure and begin site construction in November. We would finalize, in the meantime, we would work with the potential operator to finalize our policies and fine-tune our procedures for the shelter and essentially complete construction by the end of the year. In January, we hope that our navigation is going to be operational at that point. On an ongoing basis, we will provide monthly updates to your board, 30 days from opening our doors, to let you know the progress and the process on how we're progressing with the shelter and the flow we're seeing and how our services are working, and for an opportunity to make any necessary adjustments. And that concludes my report. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Mr. Alsop, how do you want to proceed after that?
Well, I'll give it back to you. I just wanted to make the point and thank the board for its leadership in earlier this year when you adopted your budget. Actually, prior to you adopting your budget in June, I think that right around June, your board chose at that time to set aside $2 million in special designation of one-time funding for specifically to be used for the development of a facility like this. That decision that you made has aligned well with plans here, and we're able to tap into that and use it for some upfront funding. So I wanted to express staff's appreciation for your board approving that. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other department heads that would like to speak to this before we open it up? None? Okay. We'll take public comment now. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to this item? I'm sorry, Supervisor Maggard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Could I ask the Planning Department to please fill in one more aspect of this that I don't think was in this presentation, and that is why we are allowed through the emergency process the state has put in place to operate this, and why this site is suitable, and just fill us in on that and the CEQA implications. Ms. Oviatt, thank you very much.
Supervisor Maggard, through the chair, Lorelei Oviatt, Director of Kern County Planning and Natural Resources. First, your board has already approved this project at your previous September hearing. As in many cases, you took action on a project and you put some conditions on it. And one of the conditions was that they bring back a operation and financing plan. So at this point, you have an approved project. You can choose to implement the approved project, or you can choose to accept the operations plan or make changes to it. The AB 101 that Ms. Ruiz put up on the PowerPoint provided an CEQA exemption for a low barrier navigation center. The low barrier navigation center had a list of criteria, and if Ms. Ruiz could put the PowerPoint back up that explains the AB 101. And those criteria have been met with this low barrier navigation center, her PowerPoint, and the presentation as well on September 10th shows that we are not separating partners. We are not rejecting people who are under the influence. And we are providing for, low barrier means providing for things like they can bring their stuff, and we provide storage, and we are providing for pets. Therefore, the exemption, which allowed for a low barrier navigation center with only a building permit and no environmental review is beyond that, applies to this. It applies because this is designated in your general plan as industrial, and all our industrial and commercial zoning provides for what we call mixed use. So there is an actual definition in AB 101 that identifies that. Mixed use means residential plus retail. So in this case, in July, the governor has provided, because of the homeless crisis, a way forward. There is also an exemption in there that clearly states that your board putting money into such a facility as a public entity is also exempt from further environmental review. There's a misunderstanding that many people have about the California Environmental Quality Act, that somehow there are things that always have to go through that environmental review. The legislature, in their ability to streamline many things, everything from stadiums in Sacramento to a variety of homeless initiatives, as well as housing, has provided different pathways. This is one. It is only available to us on July 1st. Your staff took your referral, stepped into action, located a county property that is designated industrial in the general plan. Your board is not bound by the zoning of the city of Bakersfield, although our plans are compatible. And so these designations are compatible. And at this point, what you are doing is implementation, and you can choose to move forward with the project or not move forward. But the project was approved, a notice of exemption was filed, the 35 days has passed, and the action that your board is taking today is outside the environmental review.
Thank you. Now, is there anyone here that would like to speak to this item? If you would, how many here would like to speak to this? Okay, I'd like to ask that if you would please come to the front row so we can get you to the microphone quickly. Who will be first? Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and other members of the board.
Let me interrupt you since you just got started. Sorry about that. I'm going to try to limit this to about 3 minutes per person.
I won't need that much.
Instead of the 2. Thank you very much.
My name is Mary Helen Barrow. I live at 201 Jefferson Street, Bakersfield. First of all, I'm very impressed with what I see so far. I like your focus on the services and things. I'm a credentialed teacher, and I can't remember, maybe it was in there, but I missed it. I was thinking, about maybe possibly linking up with the Kern County Superintendent of Schools and Bakersfield College to see if they can get their GED, because a lot of jobs require at least that high school, and maybe even partner with BC to transition them into there, and ultimately, they're very smart. They're capable of getting those degrees, and I'd like to see that worked into the plan if you could do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, Rudy Gonzalez, Bakersfield, California, birthday 4675. I first want to acknowledge what she mentioned was very true right now, and to not compound a crisis that we're dealing with. Thank you very, very much for addressing the issue too, by the way. It's very, very important. In terms of public-private IT services, and particularly cell phones, the free ones that are given in regards to Privacy Private Act, the 3 Ps probably could, I was fortunate to submit the San Luis Obispo Council, and in that a lot of the inundation was 501c with public. What happens is a lot of times there's a lot of transparency, blind transparency, and so the IT services are very, very important and key to protect a lot of our government officials, a lot of our federal officials, a lot of our GPS services. It's a great location, the Veteran Administration being so close. And attached possible for IT services of protection, the DOI, they have a wonderful, wonderful IT protection service with the FCC rules coordinating in conjunction with the subvention programs of IC right now currently. Very, very pertinent. In regards to a lot of the security purposes of the nonprofit sector of, first of all, let me just say it's a great honor to be able to identify these issues, and please investigate and look into them because they are very, very serious in terms of homeland security, emergency homeland security attachments to those. Again, my name is Rudy Gonzalez, military one source, enlisted March '93, Special Services, United States Army 2001. Thank you very, very much. Have a blessed day.
Thank you. Who'll be next? Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman, and to the rest of the supervisors. And thank you for the blessings the Lord has seen fit to put you all in your seat. This is a win-win situation. This is a blessing for you sitting up there. The scripture tells us that the poor shall always be with you. They ain't going anywhere. This is in your Bible. And the Bible says, he who lends to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will reward you. These are the words of the Lord. And the Bible says that the poor are destroyed because of their poverty. A lot of them act the way they act because they don't have anything. And this is what the Lord is telling us. So anything you do for them, small or great, in the sight of the Lord, if you want to get his attention, you're doing it right now. And that goes for everybody else in agreement with that. Then I want to say one of your biggest win-win situation that you have right now. Anytime you see the district attorney, Mr. Zimmerman, and you see our sheriff, Donnie Youngblood, who the Lord made a prince amongst the people, get together and go make it a priority to go get some criminals, oh, that's enough for everybody in here to stand up and just shout, shout, shout. Because I remember the times here where they didn't have the time or situations or the funds to get certain cases, but they have came together and said, we willing to do it. I don't chase criminals. They do. See, when we leave here, we doing our thing here, but when we leave here, everybody back to shaking in their boots because they don't fight with their fists no more. Everybody carries a gun for some reason if you're watching the news. And so now we got our district attorney and our sheriff, Donnie Youngblood, willing to make this a priority, and all they need is funds. When law enforcement holler for funds, it ain't for their pockets to go spend it. They want to get out and take care of business for us, so our kids and family members could have a safe place to go no matter what neighborhood it's in. And so I would say it's a mighty thing. When you look at the 1.6 million, now it went up to 6. Well, yeah, that's another win-win for you. Thank whoever it was calculated it right to $6 million. For the simple reason, you hate to get started on a program with a little bit, then they got to come back once you get it going, asking for more money. $6 million is nothing for law enforcement putting their lives on the line out there. And so I just pray we consider give them what they want and a little extra, because they fighting the criminals. We ain't, and we know they out there, and everybody know we kind of shaking these days. The Lord said it's going to get worse and worse. The world's supposed to end because of evil. So when law enforcement holler, jump, and you guys are so blessed because you got good servants. They're willing to make this a priority. And that's enough to make you want to shout. And one other thing, you need a person that know how to go out there to some of the homeless. You got a hotel that's supposed to help out too. They available right now to take some of these homeless people, put them there, clean them up, and give them a ticket back to their hometown. Some of them want to go. And so that's another thing you can look at. But I'll say thank you, Chairman. And I pray God bless him. Sorry one of my legs is leaving. Sorry I'm glad you're going to stay. And everybody else is doing a good job up there. I pray you may decide to stay as a supervisor as well.
Thank you,
In the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, thank you.
Thank you. Who'll be next?
Good morning. Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. My name is Greg Terry. I'm an Assistant Chief with Bakersfield Police Department. I'm here this morning on behalf of Chief Martin and just delivering a letter of some questions and some concerns about the facility. Obviously, the city of Bakersfield has made considerable efforts in trying to improve the environment and downtown area for our residents and community members. The Bakersfield Police Department devotes a significant number of resources daily to deal with the issues related to homelessness and its impact to our businesses and our community members. And certainly the emergency shelter has merits, and we need the additional beds as well. But I know that you share our concern that we don't want this to negatively impact the downtown area. So if it is to be there, and the Bakersfield Police Department would be the primary agency for law enforcement services, we have several questions and some concerns that are listed in the letter, specifically surrounding some of the screening process and since it is going to accept those under the influence, and the public safety concerns that may be generated by a high concentration of those individuals, how those in possession of weapons or drugs will be handled during the screening process, any expulsions from the or denials from the shelter and its impact on the surrounding area. And so there are some general concerns about the public safety issues around the shelter. So I wanted to deliver that this morning, and we look forward to working together to make this a success and to improve our community.
Thank you very much. Can I ask you a question? I want to make sure we respond adequately. How would you like us to respond to those? Are you meeting with our staff on a regular basis? You're in touch with them? Or?
Not as of yet. We've had no meetings regarding the operation of the shelter specifically.
Well, we need to fix that. Okay, thank you very much. Who'll be next?
Good morning, Chairman Couch and the board. My name is Kaylin Peterson, representing the Greater Bakersfield Chamber. Yesterday, we provided a letter to Chairman Couch and to Mayor Go on the city and the county's approach to address the issue of homelessness, and I'm only going to touch on a couple items here. As you know, this issue is of great concern to the general public and our membership. In a recent poll of our top employers, homelessness was cited as the highest priority that they would like our local governments to take action on. We want to commend the level of partnership between the city and the county thus far, and we want to thank you for declaring a homelessness crisis. We would urge continued partnership and, where possible, recommend that the city and the county move toward collaboration as opposed to creating potentially independent and potentially competing programs. While we have no position on the location for a low barrier shelter, overall, more shelter capacity is a positive development. We hope, however, that the county will work with the impacted property owners near the site through the process. We'd ask that the county develop a detailed plan on operations that goes beyond staffing, but also how county departments will specifically support this low barrier shelter and how nonprofit service providers will be a part of the wraparound services, as we saw here briefly today. As you know, the city is also preparing a proposal for a low barrier shelter. We urge your board to direct relevant department heads and staff to provide their full support so that the city can work with county departments to define their own operational plans. We believe that nothing in the proposed shelter should preclude the county from providing a similar level of services within the city shelter. Finally, while we have some concerns about potential overlap, we are supportive of the multi-agency strategy that our local governments are pursuing and want to encourage continued collaboration. Thank you.
Excuse me, do you have a copy of that with you?
I don't have it with me, but I can go ahead and shoot that over to you later when I get back to the office.
Send it to Mrs. Krause.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you. Who'll be next? Thank you, Russell.
Russell Judd, the Chief Executive Officer of the Kern County Hospital Authority. The best part of my job and what brings the biggest smile to my face is when I see patients who have come in horizontal and go out vertical from our facility. Clearly, that's why we exist, and that's the best part of the job. But I'll have to say, standing here today, from where Kern Medical was 6 years ago when I first started standing here, to be able to stand and for Kern Medical to offer the County of Kern funds to
Good point.
Yeah. But we're excited about this project. We all exist to serve and to help and to lift those who need to be lifted and to provide resources to those who are less fortunate. So we're very excited to be a partner with this. very excited to draw down these funds from the state of California to be able to improve the overall health of our community. So thank you.
Can't thank you enough for your help.
Thank you for coming today. Who'll be next? Morning.
Good morning, Board. Jim Wheeler, Flood Bakersfield Ministries. I just want to applaud you for your courage to move forward with the creation of a shelter, which is much needed. I've been a broken record since I've been here, coming to the meetings, talking about the need for us to have a place for people to go. And I also want to applaud the staff for all their hard work. I can assure you that we'll be here. We're going to do our best to make sure that we're able to deal with the visibility issue. That it seems to be really a cause of a lot of problems along with the property crimes, but I think this is a great step forward, and I'm very excited about this. And again, I just want to pledge our partnership to everybody involved, and again, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wheeler. Morning.
Good morning, Honorable Chairman and board members. My name is Stephen Pelz, Executive Director of the Housing Authority of the County of Kern, and I just want to commend Ryan and his team, county staff, as well as your board and your leadership in bringing this proposal together. It's a step in the right direction. It's part of the solution to address the crisis of homelessness in our community. We do support your efforts in this and plan to be a partner in this. We also operate a business, a company that is within 2 blocks of the site of this location, and we fully support that. We understand you need to put it somewhere, and we think this is a good location. A couple things I wanted to point out. One is that this may seem like a lot of money, but it actually saves the taxpayer money when you provide housing. The Kern County Homeless Collaborative did a cost-benefit analysis several years ago and found that it saved over $20,000 per person by taking somebody from the streets and getting them into housing. So it saves the taxpayers money overall, and so we commend you for that. I also wanted to mention that I have the privilege of actually mentoring a person, one of our citizens who's homeless in our community, and he told me last week that when you're homeless, it's really hard to get out of the situation you're in when you're in the state that you're in. And that state is just survival. That's all you can do is just try to figure out how to get from one day to the next, where you're gonna eat, where you're gonna sleep. And you can't focus on any other thing else, whether it's your mental health issues or substance abuse or health issues, you name it. And so providing this shelter is one step to help them be able to address their situation they're in. So thank you for your support.
Thank you, Mr. Pelz. Morning.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Bill Walker, Kern Behavioral Health and Recovery Services Director. I'd first like to start by really showcasing Amanda. She did such a great job with this, and I know this is just one step of it. But 2 years ago, if someone had told her this was the project she was going to be doing, I don't think would have been anywhere on her radar. So I just want to thank you for meeting with us and the work you've done with our department. Second, I just want to point out that this is a vital missing link in the continuum of care for homeless services. It's just one link, and one of the things that was on the slide was our sobering station, which should come online about the same time on Kentucky Street, about the same time. A sobering station is a place where someone who's under the influence can be taken. A low barrier shelter doesn't mean that people are shooting up in the low barrier shelter, but that they will accept someone who may be under the influence. And if that person is under the influence to the point that they need emergency services, our MET units will respond. If they need to go to a sobering station and then come back, we will have that available. It's all part of a continuum of care that includes our collaboration with the sheriff and the DA, and we have our services inside Laredo in the jail right now. If crime is crime. If someone is arrested for a crime, our services are there. If someone is not arrested and voluntarily accepts the low barrier shelter, our services will be there, as well as the other service continuum. My last is to say I am so impressed with the dog of the week thing. But I know they don't bring you a dog right off the street. They don't have you holding one that's muddy. They don't have you holding one that has fleas jumping on your jacket while you're holding the dog or is growling at you because it's so nervous because it hasn't been tamed at all. They bring you a really nice dog.
So far.
So far. And this last week, I was talking to someone who comes into our Consumer Family Learning Center who had been homeless on and off for several years. And I knew her through photography because we're both into photography. And I knew her through these things. And I was looking at her, I'm thinking, I would like to bring you to publicly speak in front of the Board of Supervisors and talk about what the transition is like. Because if you saw her, you would never guess that this woman had been on the street and had been living homeless. And so I'm looking forward to us bringing people from this low barrier shelter in front of you, like we do in the AB 109 program, and say, hey, because you believed in me and you provided this, this is the person I can be today, and I thank you. And there will be people who will come up and will thank you for this.
Thank you, Mr. Walker.
Mr. Chairman, can I?
Yes, Supervisor Gleason.
Bill, does the Department of Mental Health and Behavioral Sciences, do you feel like you're a full partner in this effort to establish this low barrier shelter?
Absolutely, and this will fit within the continuum of our care and services. And we, again, I say this is such a needed element in the continuum of the care.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Morning, Mr. Gill.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. We support the county in developing additional emergency services. It's absolutely necessary. As we are seeing, locating services that we provide, or service providers like us, is always difficult because it does create actual, but also more difficult to deal with perceived hardship. Our continuum has maximized the available services right now. We've gone beyond its capacity. Additional options have to be created. There's a demand that something be done. Now, moving to address this crisis in our community has created rifts. But people are suffering. So there's individuals that feel that they're suffering the loss of their quality of life, which is one of those perceptions. And then there's others that are living outside, as if they were in a developing nation, not the USA. Something else that's been remarkable to me is that the anger and frustration has allowed our community's heart to shift to the point that human waste has become the tragedy, as opposed to that life that didn't have a dignity of the bathroom. So no matter how hairy this process gets, push forward. These services are needed, and we welcome the partnership.
Thank you, Mr. Gill. I'm sorry, Supervisor Perez.
Thank you, Louis, in particular for all the good work you do in this community. I appreciate you. I have a question about the shelter for children. As you and I have for many years together done the pajama drive for kids, and I recall your staff updating my office up until the few days leading up to the Christmas party with new children arriving at the shelter before the Christmas party. Some of them 6 months, 12 months, a year, 2 year. I mean, I recall distinctly the increase, in particular over the holidays, of small children into your facility. So my question is, earlier we received a fabulous presentation about some proposals to deal with homeless adults, of which you have a particular expertise. I'm concerned about children, in particular as over the holidays, because we have personal experience together about how that increases right around after Thanksgiving and leading up to Christmas. So how do you feel about our numbers for children getting through the holidays? I'm not as familiar with the stock of available beds and as it relates to children in particular. Do you have that now? If not, we can meet later. It's not a big deal.
So what I can tell you is that there is a demand for additional beds for children. I support and agree with the county's conclusion that this new shelter, with the population it is to be served, would be very difficult and problematic to include children in that location. I will say also that the city of Bakersfield has committed to the creation of 40 additional beds in our facility to make more options available. And then also what I will say is stay tuned. Our organization has a great deal to announce in the very near future, which will discuss how we're moving aggressively and hopefully to address that exact need.
So could you please keep us abreast of the counts of children that are in the facility or at least me, keep me abreast of what those numbers look like, in particular through the holidays, and so we can better comprehend our spread of resources, right, our available stock, and make sure that children are not homeless.
We
in
absolutely
particular
will.
through the holidays. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gill. I recognize you.
You do. Mr. Chairman and board members, even Red Sox fan board members, I want to thank all of you for having your staff work collaboratively with us. I think it's been undersold, the significance of the action the city and county took in establishing a new funding pattern so that the Homeless Collaborative and Continuum of Care will have the right level of staffing and an executive board that represents city, county, service providers, and related interests. We have a meeting, I think, after this one with that board, and it's very significant. I'd also like to thank you and your staff for your cooperation with us during this process, for the exchange of information. And you must be good luck to us because as I sat in the audience during staff's presentation, I got an email saying that the building we've been negotiating for purchase finally had the documents executed. And so within the next 24 hours, we're going to be announcing our shelter. It's geographically separated from yours. There are some different nuances about the nature of some of the services, but there is also some parallel. We will need your staff's cooperation, your extended staffs, mental health, KMC, others in our facility as well in order to round out the service provision. And I think this is a very big day for addressing the homeless issue in the community. Thank you.
Alan, thank you for coming today. And I apologize for not getting back to you. I think I missed a message from you, number one. Number two, congratulations on your retirement. Thank you for your years of service to the city of Bakersfield. And lastly, I never thought I would hear you say that the county was good luck for you. But thank you for saying that.
I didn't either. Thank you.
It's good to see you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Supervisor Gleason, sure.
Mr. Tandy, even a Yankee fan like yourself, despicable as that may be, do you feel that you have been a full partner, full collaboration in developing this program?
You know, the collaborative board that I mentioned is such a sea change from what it used to be, because I used to, try to get an appointment with Mr. Gill, and he would be busy, and we'd get together on Thursday, or Mr. Balvanatos, and it would be on Friday. Everybody gets together now regularly in these meetings, and the exchange is positive and thorough, and everybody who needs to be there can be or is there. And so, yes, it's working much better and going well.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Joshua Daninger, County Veteran Service Officer. It's going to be a tough act to follow. I want to begin by thanking the CAO and his staff, specifically Amanda Ruiz, as we've heard many times today already, for welcoming specifically my participation in the initial discussions of the Navigation Center site, specifically, and the process by which members of the homeless population will ultimately be able to access that site. When talks of the Low Barrier Navigation Center began, it was important to me to be involved precisely because of the proposed location's proximity to my department and the Department of Veterans Affairs Bakersfield Vet Center. It's incumbent on me to ensure that veterans and their dependents are able to access benefits earned by the veteran service, whether it be disability claims advocacy or mental health treatment. And it was with that focus in mind that I offered many suggestions to the CAO's team that I believed would facilitate the Navigation Center's ultimate success at the proposed site without creating any undue barriers to the veterans and their dependents looking to access services at my office and the Bakersfield Vet Center. The CAO's team was receptive and understanding, and after many iterations, I'm happy to say that I not only support the county's vision and leadership to address the homeless crisis in our community, but I'm also pleased to support the current plan to house and bring much needed services to many of those who most need them in our community. According to the recent point-in-time count, There were 123 homeless adults as identified as veterans, and that's approximately 10% of the population living throughout Kern County. Almost half of those individuals were sheltered at the time of the count, most working with California Veterans Assistance Foundation, or CVAF. The Veteran Service Department has continued to partner with CVAF to help veterans who find themselves without permanent housing for whatever reason. And this new navigation center will be another way to help identify veterans in need of assistance. I look forward to working with the navigation center's operator to help make this a success. And I'm happy to hear that the Bakersfield Police Department is also willing to work with the county to make this a success and a safe location for homeless individuals using the center, and then for the surrounding community as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Danitz. If others of you would like to speak, please, Mr. T, come on down to the front row and we'll get you to the microphone quickly.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Lito Morello, your Director of Aging and Adult Services. I too wanted to extend my appreciation for all the hard work that departments have put in to put this project together, especially our CAO's office, in particular, Amanda Ruiz. As you all know, we serve as seniors and disabled adults, and this homeless population that we're talking about absolutely not only includes adults and families, but definitely seniors and individuals with disabilities. One of the things that I really appreciate about this project is the collaborativeness that we've been involved in trying to be part of this solution. We offer a lot of services to seniors and disabled adults that we think we can really help and benefit those individuals that come to this low barrier shelter. By providing these wraparound services, I think the community as a whole will benefit, and I think this is a great step in the right direction. I just wanted to extend my support to the CAO's office and this board for this wonderful project. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morello. Morning.
Mr. Chairman, good morning. Michael Turnipseed, representing the Kern County Taxpayers Association. We've been following this issue regionally for the last 2 years, whether it's Seattle, Spokane, Portland, LA, Sacramento, San Antonio, Modesto, or Bakersfield. Paralysis gets contagious when you're talking about solving the homeless problem. Action today is imperative. It's not an option. 150 beds is just a start. We need the city to open the second shelter to complement your program, and I'm glad Mr. Tandy announced that they've identified a spot. We know that the county and city have been working together for over the last 6 months, collaboratively with providers to address this problem. And this today is a day that needs to happen, and we need to get this started. The path will have a few bumps in the road, but you keep moving forward, and it'll be a day when hopefully we can get a majority of the homeless people off the streets. Thank you very much.
Chairman Couch had to step away for a moment. Are there any other members of the public that would like to make comment this morning? One more opportunity. Okay, thank you all for being here. We're going to close the public. Is there anybody else that would like to make comment? If you do, would you please come down and sit in the front row? Please give us your name and proceed.
Yes, my name is John Spalding. I'm representing the Building and Construction Trades Council. One of the things that comes to mind is the alleviation of the normal bidding procedures for what we're about to do. Understanding that most of these facilities are prefab and will be brought on site, but there's quite a bit of work to be done for site preparation. You won't be bidding, you will be selecting. So one of the things I'm going to caution you is the requirements under the DIR for prevailing wages, for apprenticeship, for skilled and trained workforce. And of course, keep in mind, local hire. And we do support this. It's an emergency situation. We all are suffering with it. And thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Spalding. Any other comments today? Morning, Sheriff.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for the opportunity. We're doing something today. I just don't want us to go into this with our eyes closed. I want us to go into this with our eyes wide open. We have facilities throughout the county right now that house people that have mental health issues, drug issues, and we respond to those every single day. We've had homicides, we've had sexual assaults. I don't want us to go into this thinking that when we're going to mix a bunch of people that have drug issues, under the influence, and mental health issues, and that bad things aren't going to happen, because they are. I don't know who's going to make sure there's no guns taken or knives that are taken to this facility. I don't know how you're going to do that. No one's asked. I don't know how we're going to keep people on the streets. You can go to the park and you can watch them get together and you can watch what happens. Putting them in a place that has beds isn't going to change that behavior. So I'm in support of this. I think that it's a step in the right direction, but never lose sight of the fact that we're dealing with a large percentage of these people that have drug issues, are under the influence. They're not thinking with a clear mind. They have mental health issues. And if we think that nothing bad is going to happen, we're going to be shocked. And I just want us to go into this with our eyes wide open, because anytime you take people and put into a building that have issues, severe issues, you can't expect things to not happen. So I just want to make sure that I laid it out there so that you understand. No one's asked. The city stood up, the city police department, they haven't been asked. We haven't been asked. We don't want to provide security for this facility. We do that on the streets. I think the city was asking for direction, the Bakersfield Police Department, on how these things are going to occur. And I hope that we do that, because this is in the city.
Sheriff, I'm sorry. How do we ensure that your department, and the police department are engaged in this? Because it's imperative.
Well, the city and the chief and the sheriff are engaged with each other, but we're not engaged with this facility. I can't speak for the city and how they're going to respond to calls for services in this facility, but they are. There's going to be numerous calls for services. People, if you find a way that people can't take drugs and firearms and knives into this facility, they're going to store them outside. The surrounding area, you're going to see an increase in crime. You're going to see an increase in issues, and people that have businesses in those areas are going to be back to this board because they're absolutely right. We're moving a problem, and in my opinion, we're going to start treating a symptom of the problem instead of treating the problem. And I don't know if that's going to decrease the issues that we're going to have. It might centralize it into a certain location, but I just don't want us to go into this thinking that we've fixed a problem, because we haven't. These people still will have mental health issues, and when you go there, you can't force feed someone with mental health treatment. You can't force feed someone with drug treatment programs. They have to want to do that. When you can come and go from a facility at will, they're not going to choose that option. And that was the issue that we were talking about with people that are committing these low-level crimes on the streets. Prior to Prop 47, they were arrested, they were taken to jail, and they chose to enter the programs. And they chose to work with mental health and with drug treatment programs, and we were having successes. I'm not sure we're going to have the same successes in these facilities when people can come and go. And when you have a drug addiction and you can go, you're going to have a tendency to go.
And that's where the police, as I understand it, that's where the police department and the sheriff's department are going to have to make arrests of people who break the law. And I recognize there are huge financial ramifications and staffing ramifications to you and your department to put them in jail. Where are we in the discussions? I just remember comments that you made and the district attorney had made. I don't want you to speak for her, but where are we in that other side of the equation? We're working with the CAO now to try and find a way to phase in jail beds for people that are habitual criminals. And I want to make it very clear, we're not interested in going out and arresting people for being homeless. Right. We're interested in going out and arresting people who are committing crimes in our neighborhoods and decreasing the quality of life for the people who are law-abiding citizens who are demanding action. And the action isn't just to give them a place to sleep.
The action is, there has to be consequences for your negative reaction. Most of these people got to where they're at by making poor choices. They're going to continue to make those poor choices unless they're given the opportunity to enter programs in an environment where they can't just leave. And so I think this is a one prong of about a four-prong approach, and I hope that we understand that this isn't just a fix. This is a part of a plan, overall plan, to address this problem.
I agree with you. Thank you. Mr. Chairman? Yes, Supervisor.
Sure,
Well,
thanks a lot.
I'm sorry, Supervisor Perez punched in, so let me go to her and then over to you.
Thank you, Mick. Just a second. Sheriff, I have the same concern about weapons. Is there a way to take a traveling magnetometer there? And I imagine one would be adequate for staff and for 150 bodies.
Well, certainly there are cheaper ways. There's wands that they can use on people, but that's you're going to have private security that'll be doing this, not police officers. And if they have a weapon and they can't take it in, they're going to hide it somewhere in the vicinity where they can come and go when they choose. And I suspect when you come into this building, most everyone walks through that magnetometer, and now they know that they can't bring a firearm or something like that, and they don't. But these people are not thinking clearly. These people are under the influence, a lot of them. A lot of them have mental health issues that are severe mental health issues. They need treatment. I'm the first to say that jail is not the place for people with mental health issues. But when they're committing crimes, then they have a mental health issue, it gives us an opportunity to have a captive audience for Mr. Walker and his people to deal with them. We do it on the streets. We have teams that work together with mental health where we have the opportunity to respond to these. Social media has changed the game for all of us. Just this week, we had one that was live, and I was getting social media hits. I was getting phone calls. I think Supervisor Maggart was getting phone calls on somebody needs to go do something. Well, when law enforcement responds to those, there's a tendency for bad things to happen. And so in this particular case, we chose to deal with it differently with working with mental health, and that is going to be what you're going to see in the future, because people that are having a severe episode and they're in a secure location, we're not going to kick their door in and go in and try and save them, because it has a great chance of ending badly. But that's the world that we now live in.
Thank you, Chairman.
Supervisor Gleason?
Yes.
Sheriff, thanks for coming in. Appreciate your comments. I'm trying to understand what you're saying. And this is, let me put in my words and tell me if I agree or where I'm wrong. You support the effort for this low barrier shelter.
I do.
You are you're making a statement to alerting us to the fact that we're not solving a problem per se. We are dealing with a symptom, and it is one step along the way to hopefully someday finding a solution.
That is correct. But I also want to emphasize that we're going to have a building with people in it that have mental health issues and drug issues, and if we don't provide enough security for that building, bad things are going to happen. You have people that are under the influence. Go to any park in our county, in the city of Bakersfield, where these people hang out. We have stabbings. We have fights every single day. On Norris Road, day before yesterday, on my way to work, I found someone sleeping on the sidewalk with their pants down around their ankles, incoherent. That's the norm. That's what we're dealing with every single day. Taking this person to give him a bed to sleep in while he's suffering from extreme mental illness or drug addiction isn't going to fix the problem.
What is?
Well, first of all, there's no magic pill. We're going to always have homeless people. We've always had them, and we always will. And we're not going to eliminate that situation. But people that have drug addiction and are committing crimes need to be incarcerated and need to have the opportunity to change their life while they're in custody. If they choose not to, they're going to do life on the installment plan. We have that. We're never going to change that with some people. There is no magic pill to fix all this. We can only make it better.
So are we making it better?
I hope we're making it better. But my point is, don't go into this thinking we're going to have a low barrier facility that is going to house people People have this thought process that we have a bunch of homeless people out there that are down on their luck and they need a place to stay. That's not what we've got. We've got people that are in severe drug addiction, severe alcohol addiction, severe mental illness. And when you mix those people together in one building, we can't anticipate they're going to all get along, because they're not.
So I believe you. I think what you're saying is that you know a lot more about it than I do. So we know this. We know that we're changing the problem, we're dealing with a symptom, and we're moving the problem from the downtown area. We're concentrating in a place. We're going to provide these wraparound services, a low navigation, low threshold kind of thing. And I think you're right when you say there are going to be problems that we are going to create in that area. So we know that now. So what are we doing now to deal with that problem that you're forecasting that's going to hit us down the road?
If you don't have the proper security, then you're going to deal with it after the fact.
So are you going to provide the proper security for us?
We are not.
Or the Bakersfield Police Department? Or are you?
They are not.
Are you involved in overseeing and developing options for us so that we can manage those security issues?
We have not been.
Thank you, Mr. Sheriff.
Thank you. Other comments?
I'd like to submit a letter for your records. My name is Kyle Carter. I'm a businessman in the area. We own the Bakersfield Music, my wife and I own the Bakersfield Music Hall of Fame, which is 3 blocks from where you're anticipating putting this. I really, really appreciate the work that you've done here. It's excellent, and it sounds so encouraging, but the truth of the matter is, when you go in there and you stand on the corner and you talk to these people and you deal with them on a daily basis, you see that what the sheriff says is true. You've got a situation downtown which is to the point of almost total anarchy. It's to the point of we want to take our guns and shoot these people. It's like The Walking Dead. People are mad, they're upset. You've heard this already, but I can't emphasize it enough. And you think you're going to put them in this place and it's going to be all rosy and everything. All you have to do is get online and read take an hour, which I've done, and read all the stories about these other places. And I've gone to those places. I'm on the board at the homeless center, but I'm not representing them here. But Louis Gill and I, we've gone to these places. We see how they run and how they operate. And for the most part, you think, oh, wow, this is all smooth and great, but it's not. It's just not. I think you're creating a potential real problem here. And if you're thinking about 11 employees, I read in the paper you're going to have 11 employees, that's a joke. You're going to take so many more than that. 2 security guards? We have 2 security guards at a concert, and we still get cars broken into. You think you're going to police this with 2 hired, rented security guards? It's not the same quality as a police officer or as a sheriff officer. It's not the same person. So I don't know what you're thinking, but you need to rethink it. And everybody here is all in the opinion that this is all rosy and beautiful, and let's move forward, and praise God, we finally got an answer to the problem. I agree with the sheriff. This is not an end-all answer. We're coming to you plop this down in the middle of our businesses. My wife and I, we're close to $4 million on this one property that we have down there. We're double what you're we're more than what you're planning on spending here. And as a construction guy sitting down here in the audience, 52 years ago, I got my first job in construction. I don't think you have enough money to build this. I just don't. And especially if you're going to do it prevailing wage. I just think there's a lot of holes in your operation here just from a guy sitting in the front row. So I know you're going to do this. I know you're thinking that I'm just the guy that doesn't want it 3 blocks away from his business, another NIMBY you're having to deal with. But there's a lot more to it. And I would like to see you move it further out. I'd like to see you enforce it a little bit differently. Again, I explained to you some of the areas that we went to and we visited other homeless centers and what worked and what didn't work. I got a good education on that. And I think what you're doing is great, is wonderful, and there's a lot of elements that are going to work well. But you have some elements too that just, in my opinion, aren't going to go very well for the people downtown and for the business holders, the stakeholders downtown. I know you've gotten around some CEQA deals. I don't think this has been vetted very well, and I don't think that you've mitigated it. I know in San Francisco, they went through a huge vetting process. They have a bladder. You showed the film of it up here, the one in San Francisco. They have a bladder on the side of it. You didn't show that. They won't allow them to hook up into the sewer because they don't want it to be there forever. So all their waste goes into the bladder, and they come and they pump it out every so often. That's because the people of the town have fought this. But yet you come to our town, the county comes to our city and tells us that you're going to build this thing right in the middle of our city. Well, we've spent millions of dollars and invested our lives to make something better. It hasn't been mitigated. It hasn't been vetted, but you've gotten around it. You and the governor and all the other people in government. So I appreciate what you've done, and I appreciate what you are doing, and I agree with it wholeheartedly. But I don't appreciate putting it 3 blocks from me, and I don't think anybody's going to appreciate that. So with that, I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. We appreciate your comments.
Just very quickly, we're excited to be part of what's happening here through CityServe and being part of the volunteerism that will happen there and being sure that people are trained well for this. Just want to say that even though there may be negatives to this, it's kind of like the starfish story. You know, I may not save everyone, but I'm going to save this one. And I think there are wraparound services. I think that has been very well thought out, the things that will be there to help people right there located inside the low barrier shelter for navigation of helping people. And I just want to say, you know, if it hadn't have been for that kind of services in my own life as a drug addict, as a younger adult, I wouldn't be who I am today. Not that I'm anybody, but I'm glad that somebody was willing to do something. I think we can't do nothing. And so to me, this first step is an amazing first step for us to come together, city, county, community organizations, nonprofits, and to say, look, we're going to take a stab at this and we're going to make a difference. And I believe we can, because I believe when people invest in people, relationship equals transformation. And I'm grateful for the relationships I've had in my life for that. And I'm grateful for this county and this city that we live in that say we're going to do something. So thank you for all that you've done, Mr. Alsop, Amanda, all of you guys that have spent so much time. It's a blessing to live in this community, and I believe in the days ahead, we're going to see transformation as we work together.
Thank you. Who'll be next?
Hi, Chairman, Board. I appreciate, too. I'm Melanie Farmer, the President and CEO of the Downtown Business Association. I appreciate all your work, but sitting here listening today, I had to get up and to speak. With the downtown and with our block captain program, we have worked this year directly with the police department and the city on these issues. And if you haven't talked to the Bakersfield Police Department or the County Sheriff's Department and gotten approval, that scares us. That scares our downtown businesses. It really does, because we've been dealing with this element downtown for the last few years. And again, this is drugs. This is mental issues. And again, the security of 2 security guards on staff with not having the backup of the city police department in our downtown core, or the sheriff, as the sheriff was speaking. I really urge you to speak with them first before moving forward and get backing from those 2 departments, because what we're dealing with right now isn't your regular homeless. And yes, they need help. They do. And I believe this could be a first step. But what you could be an opening to our downtown businesses by bringing in, what we're afraid of, is bringing in more into our downtown core. That's what scares us. So if you would please consider speaking with those 2 departments before moving forward, we would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Farmer. Who'll be next?
Thank you, Chairman and Supervisors. I'm a little nervous about this, and I have mixed emotions because the services are amazing. There is no doubt that we don't need those here in Bakersfield. My disappointment is that it's in the downtown area where commerce and entertainment and food and excitement is supposed to be brought in. We bring more services to that specific area. I feel Supervisor Gleason, thank you for addressing the security issue. The DBA and the Bakersfield City Police Department have been trying to work together to try to figure out how to solve the problem as it is downtown now. I had a gentleman sitting on my steps who would not respond to me last week in my first experience with meth. Never seen it before, but I have a real clear knowledge now of what it looks like because a woman came up and sprinkled it into his hands while he was sitting there, and he did his meth on my steps of my business, and there was nobody to help me. I step in front of my female employees because there is nobody else, and I am the business owner there. And I feel that 3 blocks away now, and we know there's going to be problems, and it's been addressed, that I'm also going to have more problems. They are already hiding the drugs in our bushes. They are already doing the drugs on my steps, and I don't have the help I need now. So when this happens, we also need to make sure that the businesses are protected, that you've provided the security, not just for this facility, but 3 blocks away from this facility as well, because that's where they're gonna hide their guns. That's where they're gonna put their drugs until they get out. And that 150 beds, is that a permanent place for them? What about the rest of the people out there that need those beds? Where are they gonna be located? They'll be standing around this facility waiting to get one of those 150 beds. And Lord knows we have so many more people that need them. I agree the veterans need these beds. I agree the elderly need these places to sleep. I'm in complete frustration that drug addicts and people who need these services will also be criminals getting those beds as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carter.
Carlos Baldovinos with the mission of Kern County. Ryan and Amanda, good job on that presentation. We have been through this process with you all for the last several months. And I sat here back in September in support of this project, and I still am very supportive of this project. There's obviously still that needs to be done in the days ahead, but we got to get away from not in my backyard approach. I mean, we're seeing a crisis like we haven't seen in other times. I mean, it is all over California. If we just sit here and just keep talking about it, nothing's going to get done. So I do think this is an opportunity, as it was approved last month. This is just a continuation of the next steps. And Ryan and Amanda and Board of Supervisors, I commend you for the work that you're doing. As the director at the mission, I am in support of this. I look forward to the day that it's open, and we can just keep collaborating and moving the ball forward as we help our less fortunate in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baldovinos. Morning.
Good morning. My name is Sheila Shigas, and I represent Community Action Partnership of Kern here today. I wanted to share with you all that about 20 plus years ago, I was in the same seat as all of you and those in this community in opening up a low barrier shelter. I will tell you that it was a hard road. It was a road of uncertainty, but it was also a road that led us to success. Over the 20 plus years, I have been back to Flint, Michigan, one of the highest crime-ridden, low poverty areas of our nation, to help build on that success of what happened 20 plus years ago. I will tell you that bringing this community together, leadership, providers, law enforcement, everyone can and will happen if we decide that it will. And that is happening, and there is a sense of urgency, a sense of caring and togetherness in making this a very successful project. We hope that you will see that this can be done, that with everyone coming together, that it can be a success. And will there be issues? Yes, but they are issues that can be solved if we decide that we can do it together. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, we'll return to the board for questions or comments. Or first of all, let me go to Mr. Alsip.
I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Just for the record, we are not homeless problem-solving wizards here. We're just a group of people here in the county and in the city who are trying to get something done to address what Mr. Carter just defined as anarchy. Total anarchy is the situation downtown. And I don't know how this is a bigger problem than that. I wanted to just specifically address the law enforcement. Those are the first time I've heard those comments. I'm sorry that we didn't ask the sheriff. I would say that I didn't think he needed to be asked. We've been working on this for months. I have met with we've been meeting with the city manager on a pretty regular basis. The city manager, the assistant city manager, I believe the chief of police was in at least 2 of those meetings. We've had meetings organized by Congressman McCarthy that all of these individuals have been in. This was never brought as an issue of huge concern. My commitment is to work as closely as I can with the city and the chief of police to ensure that they're comfortable. They have a level of knowledge that they're comfortable with about how this will work. I'm not sure what the special secure patrol, security concerns or things that are put in place for the Bakersfield Homeless Center or the mission. And I don't know if the city has sat down and, they have detailed out how all of that works, but I can tell you, the last time I looked, this facility will have more security at it than either of those facilities. And while there might be different populations of folks, there are some similarities. So I'd like to just commit that we will work with Chief Martin. I'll work with our sheriff to make sure that they have a detailed understanding of how this is all going to flow and work, and make sure they're comfortable. And any issues that they have, any insight or suggestions that they have, we will be all ears and interested in anything they have to, obviously, anything they have to say. The bottom line is that the number one goal with this facility, number one, is to get people off the street, period. There is whatever you want to call it, a crisis. We've been talking about this in the paper, on the TVs, you as a body, the city. We have a homeless crisis. We have a big problem in the Metro Bakersfield area with folks camping out on the street, loitering, vandalizing, pooping, peeing, taking advantage of other folks. It's a widespread problem. There is no available space and no available treatment for these people, which is why we are proposing to do this. This will allow law enforcement, it will give them the opportunity and a tool to move people along off the street, out of residential areas. If you're parked overnight in a residential area, law enforcement could say, hey, you can't park here anymore. You can go and park up at the selected place that we have. You'll find a bathroom up there and lighting. There'll be security, a safe place. You can go and do it up there. That's what this is about. At the end of the day, getting people off the street. And ultimately, these people are going to receive services, whether that's mental health treatment or substance abuse treatment. The GED idea is fantastic. Those are things that we can roll in. Job placement, all of these things that are going to be offered to try and get these folks where we can. We won't be successful all the time, but where we can, get them back on their feet in some sort of a sustainable way, where if they do decide to go out and walk around on the streets, they look better, they feel better, they act better. If that's the end result, then I think that's probably a win at the end of the day. But again, the number one goal is to move people off the streets and into this facility. As a community, we're already dealing with these law enforcement people. Our officers are already dealing with this, folks. Sheriff Youngblood talked about somebody sleeping on a sidewalk with their pants down. Well, maybe we can have them sleeping in this facility with their pants down and not out in public on the sidewalk with their pants down. I mean, I believe that's a win at the end of the day, and possibly getting this individual, whoever it is, some treatment, whether it's mental health or substance abuse, because those probably are two things going on. But we will commit to working with all law enforcement agencies as we move forward to ensure that they have a full understanding of exactly how this is all going to work, the intake process that we've got, and security measures in place.
Thank you. Supervisor Maggard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the public coming to share with us their concerns today. I do take them seriously and take them to heart. I want to thank those that have spoken in favor of it as well. I want to thank our partners at the city for being open to this and for the city manager's expressed support of this effort. I want to thank the mayor, Karen Go, Mayor of City of Bakersfield, for her immediate and unflinching support of this effort from the very beginning. I'm grateful for that. I hope we'll see the same kind of enthusiasm from our colleagues on the Bakersfield City Council as it moves forward. We want to be a partner with the city. I'm grateful for their assistance and their help. I assure you at the city that we will also likewise be of help and a partner with you in the establishment of your facility. The services that the county provides are vital, I think, to the success of the city's project. And this is just the first step in a whole continuum of steps that will happen. So nobody's in line in front of anyone else. This is just, we happen to have the role today, and the city will have the role tomorrow of how to roll this out. So we don't have all the questions answered. I don't know how we'll do that. I know that the time will come when the city will come to the county and ask our departments to be of assistance, and I want to make sure that, and Mr. Alsop and my colleagues agree, that we will try to be as cooperative as we can about that. I want to make sure that our department heads go directly to the CAO's office, so we coordinate how we go about responding and make sure that we are completely in line, so we don't get don't get misstepped anywhere. There's no question other than the mandate is that we must be a good neighbor. So the immediate neighbor within 50 feet of this facility is a county building, Veteran Services. The next most immediate neighbor 100 feet away is an arm of the county fire department. 200 feet away is the county not general services, but planning and public works departments. This is surrounded by county facilities. So the first most affected users of this will be our employees and our facilities. So that will, I think, give us a good feel for what kind of implications we have in the neighborhood. These are our constituents who live in the city. You might live in the city of Bakersfield, you might live in the city of Ridgecrest, you might live in the city of Delano, any of the 14 or so that are incorporated cities in Kern County, but you also live in the county. You're our constituents. So I assure you that we will be committed to being a good neighbor. I want to work, and I want to make sure that we direct our staff to go back to make sure that we have left no stone unturned, particularly with the Bakersfield Police Department, to assuage their concerns. These are serious issues about bringing drugs in, weapons in, If they aren't allowed to be in, where will they be stashed just outside? Those are concerns just like they are when somebody walks into this building and they realize they can't bring a weapon in this building. There are weapons that are put back either in the cars or somewhere around this building. Though the reality is that the issues that we're going to see in this facility are the very same issues that are walking around in the neighborhoods, in the alleys, right behind the back fence of my constituents and the city's constituents that live in the downtown area. So I don't take that lightly. It is also the case that there are other areas that we have a dire problem, and we must find a solution. So I'm not going to belabor this, but this is just one element. We cannot move homeless people out of our parks, out of our alleys, out of all the places where they are making their encampments now, unless we have an alternative to offer them. And this is the county's effort to provide that. Our colleagues at the City of Bakersfield will do the same thing. And it is also the only way we have, the most effective way we have, I should say that differently. It is the most effective way we have that we can conceive of as to how we're going to get mental health services to them and drug treatment services to them. So it is just one tool in a whole box full of tools that we need to develop. And we don't have all the answers today, but I assure you that we will try to come up with them. One of my other concerns is that we effectively find a way to go out on the streets, find those people that are homeless, that are being disruptive to the fabric of our community, and bring them into this facility, whether that be in a county area or in a city area. So we'll have to work diligently on that. I have some concerns as well. You know, I don't know if the day use area is big enough. I don't know what all the answers to these things are yet, but I assure you that we will work on. And I appreciated the speaker who spoke here near the end about, you know, it was from the lady from Cap K, that, you know, we will deal with it because it is our will that we deal with it. This doesn't address some of the people that live outside of the greater Bakersfield area. I think particularly about the Kern River Valley, that when I've spent time there, the family that I have visited there, that live up in that area, the meetings that I've been to in the Kern River Valley, there are other areas like that that are isolated from this that don't have a way to get here. We need to address those areas as well. So I hope that that's something that we don't overlook, and that we move forward to trying to help them as well. But I am grateful for the effort. I am looking forward to making this a success, and I take to heart the concerns of those that have fear about this, and I encourage them to work with us. I'm sure that they will tell us the areas where we need to improve, because there will be those areas. But I look forward to approving this, and I thank my colleagues for their interest and passion for it as well.
Supervisor Scribner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I do want to extend my thanks and appreciation to, first of all, our staff in the County Administrative Office that has been tasked with taking the lead on this and being the point for us and helping to coordinate all the county departments. Ms. Reese, particularly your efforts. I know that you've worked pretty much full-time on this for many weeks now, and I think you've done an excellent job in laying out the different services that are going to be provided. I think so much has been thought through and identified that are going to be necessary things to have there. Clearly, there were some concerns that were brought here today that will be, I'm sure, a work in progress as we get set up. There's going to be tweaks and changes that we're going to, I'm sure, make to address issues that we identified down the line. But I think you've done a marvelous job as far as looking at what we can anticipate that we're going to need there. So thank you. I want to express also appreciation to the city for your collaboration. Thus far, this has been, I think, an excellent working relationship that we've had, and so we're hopeful that that continues. I think that all of us understand that this is not solving the homeless problem. I don't think that there are any of us up here on the board that think that we do this and and then we can move on to other issues. This is going to be something that's our community is going to be dealing with, I think, for the long term, unfortunately. But what's so critical in moving forward with this particular facility is that the courts have ruled that you cannot move homeless people off of public property, off of private property, unless you have beds for them. And so that's really what we're doing here. We're creating a vehicle by which we can see homeless that are removed from our streets and into a facility where they're going to have access to a tremendous amount of services that hopefully are going to help them to transition out of that lifestyle. And that's what we're doing here. The security issues that were brought up, those are of great concern to me. There have been multiple meetings that we've had with the Sheriff's Department, with the city. I've been in meetings that had the Chief of Police there, the Sheriff there. These are concerns that I'm glad that they have brought up today. I think that it's good for us all to know. The letter from the Police Department lays out a lot of questions. I think these are questions that could have been asked earlier, but nevertheless, I'm glad that they were asked, and I think that it's important that our staff makes a concerted effort to come back to this board with a report on how we're going to address those concerns that were brought up. And so I'd like to make a referral to staff to come back with a security plan, detail it out a little bit more on how we plan to address the questions that were raised by our friends in law enforcement. I do acknowledge that this facility will have much more security than any other homeless facility that currently exists in the county. I think that's an important thing to point out. But nevertheless, I think that coming back with a little more detailed security plan would be good for the board. I hope my colleagues would like to support me in that. I'd like to get it was alluded to a little bit earlier, but I would like to get from the CAO's perspective where we stand in some of our efforts to address the criminal element, the seriously drug addicted, the serial thieves, the folks that have multiple failures to appear. That's what the sheriff and the DA have been talking about. We're not talking about incarcerating people for being homeless. That's something that I think that detractors have tried to push as a narrative, and unfortunately the media, I think, has played a role in trying to whip that sentiment up as well. But can we, Mr. Alsop, can you address briefly where we stand as far as our discussions with the city and with the sheriff and the DA?
Yeah, Chairman Couch, Supervisor Scrivener, for the reasons you just discussed, I mean, this is really a separate issue in our mind, not unrelated to the development of a low-barrier shelter and dealing with homeless populations in this context. That proposal, which is a proposal that was first, I believe, provided by our district attorney and Sheriff Youngblood, we continue to work on that. That is a proposal that requires some additional thought and planning, and we're working as closely as we can with those stakeholders and others to ensure that at the end of the day, whatever plan we go forward with, elevating the prosecution of and arrests of misdemeanors in the community is done in an effective, successful way that actually produces results. But those are it requires more planning, more discussion, and really separate from this particular issue here today.
I agree that it's separate, but it's also, I think, an issue that's very important to folks that are business owners, people who are in the downtown corridor. I mean, I think that they have identified that there truly is a criminal element that is creating an environment that's not safe for business, not safe for folks in the community. And so I think it's important that we at some point come back and address that issue specifically. And so I encourage you to move as quickly as possible with the discussions with the sheriff and the DA and also the city to the extent to which they will partner with us in that effort. I'll go ahead and make a motion right now that staff comes back with a detailed security plan for the facility. So I'll make that motion now.
Could I ask if you would add something to that? I think it's important when it comes back that the sheriff's department and the police department are here to, maybe that's a given, but it might not be, are here to assure us that the plan has their support.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, I'd encourage them to do so for the year. Okay.
Supervisor Scrivener, does your motion include directing staff to proceed with the shelter, or is that a separate motion?
No, I'm making a separate referral right now.
Very good.
Just keep it clean.
Be happy to second that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you have a motion and a second. Please cast your vote.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
But I will be supporting moving forward on staff's recommendation when that motion's made. Thank you.
Supervisor Gleason.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate it. I'm all over the place here. I got my notes, so you're going to have to bear with me. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor Maggart, for addressing Kern County as a whole. And we have this situation in Kern River Valley. I'm intimately familiar with that. I'm also aware of the pit count numbers that are all over the county, including Tehachapi, Delano, and other places. I know they don't marry up, they don't match up to the significance in terms of numbers that Bakersfield and Oildale and the immediate area enjoys, but enjoys the wrong word. We have, but it's a real problem throughout Kern County, and it needs to be addressed throughout Kern County, not just Bakersfield. But I'm glad we're trying to take a step at this. So I got some thoughts, and I want to talk about. First, I want to talk about money. Let's talk about costs. Mr. Alsop, my first thing is, Amanda, I want to thank you for doing an outstanding job getting this out and laying it all out for us to understand and putting some plan together that makes sense and there's a logic flowing through it and it's stitched together very well. And I want to thank you and your staff for doing an outstanding job. Secondly, Mr. Alsop, let's talk money. How much is this going to cost us?
Our total one-time capital expenses up front are estimated at $3 million. Approximately 1.1 million of that is the whole person care funding that's being so generously provided by Kern Medical. And the remaining balance of $1.9 million will be taken out of the special designation of one-time money that your board approved and set aside in your budget for this fiscal year.
Does that include any cost for security, the security plan we're talking about?
Does not. That is capital upfront.
So that will be depending upon the details with that plan. That will be an additional cost of the $1.8 million upfront costs.
No, the security will be an annual ongoing cost at the facility, which we have estimated at $1.3 million. That is not for security. That is for operations in addition to security. And that is SB2.
So $1.3 million that you just talked about is other than this $1.8 million, $1.89 million. That's additional cost. That's yearly annual costs. That's going to include security.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
And by the way, we're starting with two full-time, 24-hour, 7-day-a-week security personnel in addition to cameras, really, which is a lot more than a lot of these shelters are doing up and down the state. We'll ramp up. If we need to add a security guard or 2 security guards, we will. We will. It just depends on how this thing evolves and rolls out, and when we get going, we'll be flexible enough to address a situation where it's needed.
I think you stated that you felt, and I think the design of this whole project, the number one goal of this project was to, I think you said, get people off the street.
Yes, sir.
Would you agree with me that the second goal would be to create a secure environment to move these people to?
Yeah, I believe that, I think it goes hand in hand with the first goal. In order to get people off the street, we need to create a place for them to go that's secure. It's secure for them, and it's secure for the neighborhood that they are located in.
So then the goal may be, number one goal would be get people off the street and put them in a secure environment.
Correct.
Okay.
Sure.
Then I'm sure that's going to change the cost structures associated with this, because the word secure has different definitions to different people. I heard Mr. Maggart say that the issues we see in this facility will be similar to what we're experiencing in the streets. They're just going to be different places. I think, I don't know this, but I bet the sheriff would say that the security issues we see in this environment are going to be similar to the security issues we see at Lerdo. And he manages those, he has jails and jail bars and security guys with police, with all kinds of stuff. So I think security is, I agree completely with Supervisors Maggart and Scrivener that security is going to be a major issue, and I think it has to be flushed out, because I don't think we've done, and I know that's going to be inhibit a low barrier definition of what we're trying to do, so there's going to be a balance there, and I just don't understand how we're going to do that balance. Do you?
Yes. Can you explain it to me? We're going to have 2 full-time security staff at this facility, 24/7, every single day of the week, all day, all night long.
Are they going to be carrying weapons? Are they going to have the ability to arrest somebody? Are they going to have the ability to?
No, there will be no police used at this site, and I think there's probably good reason for that.
And do you think that's sufficient to provide security for this place?
Yes. And we started with security.
Has that happened in, if I'm cutting you off, I don't mean to, it's just the way
No,
I
I feel like I'm cutting you off. I'm
No,
sorry,
you're not. You're not.
Supervisor.
No.
Yeah.
Do you feel that, okay, so you feel that that security is going to be adequate for what we're trying to provide?
I believe it's, we believe it is for a start. And like I said, as we ramp up, we're going to start with 50 beds. Our operators and on-site personnel are going to get a feel for how that works, what the intake process is, how that's working. We'll modify as we go along. But we will start from day one with 2 full-time security staff. Again, that's more staff than any other facility has here in Kern County. And frankly, in our conversations with the 3 shelters that we put up here as examples of other low-barrier shelters, they claim minimal issues.
That was my next question.
Minimal issues with security at these sites, with the security that they have in place. In San Diego's case, they have 324 beds. They have 6 to 8 security personnel that are it's private security at different times. They also have cameras, similar to what we're going to be doing, although we're going to start with 50, ramp up to 150 beds only. The other 2 facilities, one of them is 150 beds. They don't have any security guards there. They just have cameras and they have a staff. But security is important. It's why we started with it. We are dedicated to spending money on it. We will have 2 full-time security staff, not only patrolling inside, but patrolling the perimeter outside. And we'll have an extensive network of cameras as an additional tool for our use. And if we need to change up and improve and bolster that security effort, we will do it immediately.
And who's going to pay for it?
We are.
Out of where?
That will come out of our SB2 permanent local housing allocation and general fund monies.
So the funding for our plan is going to be flexible. It may go up, may go down. We don't know yet. We know what the initial costs are going to be, but we don't know if the security plan is going to have additional costs associated with it. But and we're going to manage our way through this noble effort that we're doing. And any of those funds that we're going to be diverting, or we already have allocated for this, which I understand the $1.8 million has already been allocated, but any of those additional costs that we may occur through the course of a year, are they going to cause us to divert funds from employee pay raises or union negotiations or any other places where we need to spend money? And if so, how?
Yeah, well, the $2 million that your board set aside in this year's budget has not been allocated. It is set aside and designated.
Okay.
So it hasn't been appropriated. We're suggesting that you make that appropriation toward this effort, which is what the plan has always been, and that's one-time funding that was set aside. The ongoing operational costs of this facility, we believe, can be paid for through grants that we're receiving, and that's the plan. And we believe that the funding that we're receiving from the state is adequate to deal with the operational costs. And so the answer to your question is thankfully, no.
Does the security plan include discussion? This you might not have an answer for this, but the buffer zone. There needs to be a buffer zone. People talk about hiding weapons and hiding knives, and businesses that are in an immediate location or close to this thing. What security are they going to be involved in the plan to develop the security plan? Are we going to ask those businesses to participate in the security plan or offer their perspectives on it?
We will. Supervisor, the immediate tenants are county tenants on the site. The rest are buffered, but it's a freeway, vacant buildings on the west, a recycling center, whatever that is, really on the west, and train tracks, and empty warehousing on the north. It's pretty isolated. We will work with whoever, however they would like. We will have 2 full-time security staff every single day of the week, all day long and all night long. One, ensuring that the perimeter is safe, moving people along, moving people who are loitering along, ensuring that clientele at this particular facility are not committing crimes. If they are committing any crimes, the police will be called. If anybody inside will be committing any crimes, the police will be called if they're committing a crime. We hope that what the security measures that we're going to have in place with our personnel are going to prevent, to a large extent, those things from happening. Lorelei, you're lifting your finger over there.
If I may, the Public Services Building has over 400 employees. The Planning Department is one of the departments that helps manage it. Mr. Judd has his entire administrative team from Kern Medical Center on the second floor. We have KEDC, we have air pollution. The building funds its own security guards through our department budgets. We are planning to talk to the CAO about our building working through our budgets to get another security guard for the parking lot so that we can also be part of this solution of moving people along. But we have our own issues with the homeless in our parking lots, and the Kern medical staff has been, we now have to go as buddies through that parking lot. We support this center because we believe that we can now move the people who are kind of migrating into that area to a place where they can get the services and the contacts they need at this navigation center. But I wanted to assure you that we are part of this conversation about security in the area, and that is, our partners along with General Services who manage that building.
Thanks. I'm almost done. I got 2 more questions. For the public that's watching and may not be as informed as some of us, could you talk about the fact for a minute that this is not an original idea? And this has had applications in other places, and just expand on that just for a minute.
Yeah, so those were just 3 examples that we had showed you earlier, but we're seeing this up and down the state, whether it's a city or a county, or whether it's a nonprofit that is taking it on. And our proposal is nothing new. It's a compilation of everything that we've read, everything that we've seen, what's worked and hasn't worked. I think as Ryan mentioned on the security points, those are all components that we've seen. However, we realize that there is a higher level of security, to put our residents at ease, and that's why we are proposing the additional security guards. The tension fabric structures are, easy to move. They're not permanent structures, and so that is another component. And it's also quick to put in this area and something that can be done very quickly to address this issue. So everything that we have seen has been, essentially borrowed from up and down the state and tailored to accommodate our population, given the proximity to address the downtown area. For people that, on any given day visiting that site, we already see people around that area, and that is why we made sure to bring in our Veteran Services Director as a neighbor and address his concerns and address the concerns of our county employees. But this is nothing new. It's popping up. Even with San Diego, they are adding a second structure, specifically with San Diego. They employ that neighborhood cleanup program within their shelter to create that perimeter, to clean up the perimeter. And also, they will tell you that they have 2 elementary schools that are in close proximity. Fortunately, we are not near any residential or any elementary schools. So, and then they applaud their efforts and actually have said that their area is better than they have than when it began. So.
Wow, that'd be nice.
Supervisor, I don't mean to interrupt you. I was going to add to that the San Diego structure, which I believe they call a bridge facility, was the subject, the primary subject of the meeting that was organized by Congressman McCarthy and Assemblyman Fong a while back that I attended. There was quite a few people that were in attendance there, and Mayor Faulkner from San Diego was there to present their journey to create the low barrier and to operate it, and it's been done with a fair amount of success and results.
Thanks. My last question is, okay, so from one way or another, taxpayers are going to be throwing millions of dollars at this effort, whether it's out of our general fund or it's grants or whatever it is, millions of dollars we're going to be putting into this program in order to help alleviate a blight in the city, which we have to take action. How, a year from now, so next Thanksgiving or Halloween, we're going to be sitting here and we're saying, okay, how do we know, how are we going to measure the fact that we can call this a success or a failure? And if it's a success, great. If it's a failure, how are we going to get out?
So part of the ID program that we're proposing is, if we are able to do that, is expand our homeless management information system that is a requirement of our Continuum of Care or Homeless Collaborative. That program is operated by our Behavioral Health and Recovery Services. It has the ability to add an ID program. Part of that is for the data tracking and to abide by HUD standards on what is considered successful. So we will look at housing outcomes. How many are we getting them into a permanent sustainable housing? So how many number of exits? How many are getting an actual job? How many are and then we can also use behavioral health measurements. Are they clean and sober? I'm sure they have specific ones that they're probably more eloquent, but so we will look to, Kern Medical and Behavioral Health and decide what specifically are their measurements. But as far as housing goes, we would look at successful exits, how many are financially independent, and then how many are obtaining a job.
So we can assume is housing elements go up, people on the streets are going to go down.
I hope so.
Okay, we need to
That's
nail
our
that one
intention.
down. We need to nail that
Yeah.
down so we have an actual say, this is success for us, it's clearly defined, and we understand what we're doing.
Right.
I'm at a point on sitting here today that I think inaction is unacceptable. And no matter what we do, we have to act. We have to take a course of action, and I think you've done an outstanding job laying this out. I think we're going to have some challenges with it. I think collaboration with all agencies in the local area are essential for us, but for us to achieve success as long as we properly define it. And God bless Kern County. This is the right thing to be doing. I'm going to offer support to whoever makes the motion.
I've got a couple of people that have already punched in. I want to ask a couple of questions, but let's go to Supervisor Perez and then Supervisor Maggard. He spoke already. Ladies first.
Oh, thank you, Chairman. My colleagues have really done a great job, I think, of outlining the challenges, opportunities, and concerns here, all of which are important, and I so appreciate hearing from the public. You know, I'm so happy to see our public defender here, Pam Singh, following these next steps by the county, because I recall distinctly my time as a public defender for several years, and I've said this 100 times and I'll keep saying it because it's a good reminder to me, that while I was a deputy public defender, the number one question that I was ever asked by a client, and I mean at the ratio of 10 to 1, was, Ms. Perez, can you help me get a job? It was always the number one topic of conversation between my clients and I. And almost every time I was looking at somebody who was ill-equipped to compete in the market that we have today. And I have never forgotten those realities. As I've become supervisor and I've had the opportunity to acquire the expertise and insight of people like Mike Turnipseed at our Taxpayers Association, I have learned that Kern County has the second highest youth disconnected rate in America, meaning between 16 and 24, we're neither in school or working. For any city above 250,000, we're the least literate. The flip side of that is we have an incredible loyalty factor and index. These things are testable and they are proven. We have an incredibly patriotic, faith-oriented, many faiths, but we are a faith-oriented, patriotic, family-oriented population. That's who we are. It's the culture of Kern County. I love that culture. And I know that Kern County does as well. But part of this long-term problem, because our Sheriff, Donnie Youngblood, is correct, this is not a long-term solution. It is not a magic bullet. This is one step in moving what is a very challenging population, which is a lot of us guys, a lot of us in Kern County fall into these categories of disconnected youth, of homeless foster children, of whom do not have the skill set to compete, to get into the housing market, to sustain themselves on their own. And I love, as Father Boyle says, nothing stops a bullet like a job, right? So I am very proud to be working with the CAO for the jobs element of this rollout, of which we will present to you here as we continue to lay out the ways in which Kern County must change to meet the needs of our actual population. When we trained 2,000 workers, Lorelei, you'll remember this, Mike, you remember this, many people involved in that process. We trained 2,000 entry-level workers with a 24-hour certificate training program that was dirt cheap and is not saddled with all the government bureaucracy that we know is problematic in moving people to the next rung of stability. And so in the coming months, we will lay out for you a jobs plan that is consistent with moving people to a place of stability. Not everybody is going to be wealthy. Not everybody is going to have the same level of material wealth. That is a reality. But we have discovered through community partnerships and very little financial investment, we can really close the job skills gap. We can move people to stability, which is what I have found most people want. I genuinely believe that. There are many people that need to be jailed, that need to be housed, that need to be kept away from otherwise good faith players. But the vast majority of my clients, the vast majority of the people I come across are desperate for work. Thank you, John, for the reminder of local hire, because those are opportunities to put our people, of which we know are on the lowest rung of capacity to compete and skill set. And I appreciate the opportunity to look honestly at our population, love our population, but close the gaps that are in place that prevent people from moving to the next level, of which I believe the vast majority of us are inspired to do so. So I want to thank Alan Tandy for the joint city and county effort that we are rolling out in the MLK region, because the focus is on jobs. The focus is on letting anyone who walks through the door of our staff office at ETR, anyone in any position and any deficiency they may have, to be addressed in a very simplistic fashion so people can get on to the life that they need to live. So thank you, Alan, for your support of that. Councilman Willie Rivera, we have really started, like this project, an unprecedented partnership between the city and the county, and looking at how we best serve our people in a practical, efficient, inexpensive way that gets people's one foot in the door to stability and sustainability. So that is a part of this process. The CAO and I were talking extensively about it yesterday. We're very excited to include the jobs plan as part of this rollout because, as our sheriff indicated and as my colleagues have indicated, this is not a magic bullet. This is the necessary and first step to stabilize folks that are at a profound disadvantage. But as we have discovered, that when we close the gaps in an inexpensive, efficient, and intelligent way, people become remarkably productive, and that is good for all of us. So I'm excited. CAO, thank you for your support in that. Alan, Tandy, hats off to you for being such a visionary in that MLK region, because we are going to transform it. It is not rocket science. We have done it multiple times now throughout the county, and this is an opportunity to build and develop the kind of community that is going to transform these populations to at least be sustainable, hopefully drug and especially crime-free. I want to thank you, Lorelei. Thank you, my colleagues, for being forward-thinking on these matters. This is not easy. It is not fun for anybody, but it must be done, and it must be done with an eye on the realities of our population and how we can be efficient and answer the call of the public to do something about this problem and not just keep talking and meeting about it. This is what we're doing here. I'm so grateful. Lorelei, Amanda, you've been phenomenal. I know we're going to be in Sacramento Monday for the Joint League of Cities and CSAC operation. Folks are coming together in a way that we haven't done before. I think when we do that with an eye on community, we can have the kind of results that build a better quality of life for all of us. And that is sustainable economically and financially, because people need to work, they need to be independent. But until they have a job skill and a stable pathway forward, we all pay for the consequences of that jointly. So, Chairman, thank you for the opportunity to address the public. I'd like to make a motion on staff's recommendation and move forward to what I think is really an exciting new chapter for all of us at Kern, the city, and many others. So, thank you.
Thank you. I just have a couple of questions or comments. I don't like to speak on behalf of the whole board, but I think I can say that we are committed to public safety, and public safety in the downtown is included in that. I'm glad Supervisor Maggard and Gleason brought up the issue of the rural areas. Just briefly, the city of Delano, in their point-in-time count, I think they counted about 45. They think they really have 75 to 80 homeless people in the Delano area, and they are attempting to address that with a day shelter, which maybe I'll call it a late afternoon and early evening shelter, where they're going to be utilizing a separate, an already existing facility that they use for different services to just bring people in, to provide much of the same services we're talking about, showers, that sort of thing, just letting people rest. And getting them the services that the county provides. So I guess I'm looking to the CAO. I'd like to discuss with you a way that we can assist in that regard. It's a very inexpensive, compared to what we're talking about here, extremely inexpensive effort on their part, but they are attempting to address the issue in their location. Now, what I've learned also is I think a lot of people who are experiencing homelessness, they want to stay where they are, and we need to, I think, meet them where they are, and that means I don't know that we want to uproot them, bring them to some other location, but if we can address their needs and concerns where they are, I think that's the best thing to do. So, Mr. Alsop, if you want to respond to that?
Yeah, I would just say, Mr. Chairman, thank you for that. I look forward to discussing that more with you and the other board members and ensuring Delano's success in getting that done.
Thank you very much. I'm going to restate the obvious. There is not a good spot to do this. I know Mr. Pelz has realized that there's no good spot to do what his place has tried to undertake. So I'm going to support the motion, but we do need to keep a careful eye, and I'm glad, Mr. Alsop, that you said, hey, we're going to start with 2 security guards or whatever, but we can ramp that up if needed. In fact, I want to just plant the seed in your mind. We might want to start higher than that and maybe ramp down as we see if the need is there or not. Just for something for you to consider. I am concerned that the police department, I think, did a good job of laying out their concerns, but they laid them out here, and so I'm concerned that maybe I'm not blaming you all. I think this is a difficult thing to get your arms around, and there's lots of tentacles to it and lots of departments that need to be involved. But I hope that our outreach continues with not only just the city of Bakersfield on their project, but also specifically the police department on ours. And I do think the sheriff needs to, we need to work with the sheriff on what he sees and the police department sees as the problems may be on our site, to address them before they occur if possible, or be ready for them. I think that's all the comments. Oh, I wanted to mention to Mr. Carter that we received the letter that you submitted even prior to you submitting it, so I wanted you to know that's on the record. Those are my comments. Supervisor Maggard.
Thank you. I would like to make sure that the motion to approve includes us making the proper findings and declarations that are necessary, that we can avail ourselves of all of the resources of the state to make sure that this is properly authorized and funded. So if you're okay with that, I will be happy to second the motion.
As you wish, Supervisor.
Staff need to make any comments on the motion at all? Okay, thank you. You have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Thank you. That was the one and only item we had on the agenda. We just need a motion to adjourn to closed session. Motion. Without objection, we are adjourned. Thank you.